In my last Tausember lore video, I received a comment from one of our subscribers asking me about the existence of Chaos Corrupted Tau, and I was actually surprised that I haven't covered this topic in detail before. Now, there's a lot of reasons why Chaos rarely corrupts members of the Tau Empire, and we're going to dive into the reasons why in today's video, but let me give you a quick, short answer. Yes, Chaos Corrupted Tau do exist in Warhammer 40K. And with that said, I want to welcome you guys back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. If you're new to the channel, allow me to introduce myself. I am your host, Gersh1. I have the privilege of showcasing that everything in this universe is a little bit sadistic and evil. So even when we talk about the quote-unquote good guys of 40K, the Tau Empire, you will see that their lore is actually pretty grim-dark. And while you guys are watching, if you have any questions or suggestions for future Tau lore videos, please comment down in the comment section below, because I am celebrating Tausember, an entire month dedicated to Tau lore. And if you guys enjoy this style of content, do me a huge favor and corrupt the like button on this video so that I know to put more effort into these faction-focused style videos, and so that you receive more 40K lore videos on your YouTube feed. So let's get into 40 facts and lore on Chaos Tau. Let's first analyze what Chaos corruption looks like for the Tau. Within the lore, there are two types of corrupted mortal beings. There are the servants of chaos that willfully venerate their god. These take the form of chaos cultists or sorcerers. And then there are the victims of corruption. These are beings that are either tricked into furthering the schemes of the ruinous powers with very little knowledge of what chaos actually is, or are inadvertently exposed to the etheric powers of the immaterium, like when a Geller field malfunctions during warp travel. When it comes to the Tau, they are almost always the unlucky ones whose ignorance of the immaterium makes them fall prey to the ruinous powers. In their exploration of the galaxy, the Tau Empire has stumbled upon the remains of warp portals, chaotically tainted relics, and sometimes even warp-touch xenospecies that ooze out the taint of chaos. Their curiosity proves to be their downfall as they attempt to understand these cursed items or people, and in the process fall victim to corruption. An excellent example of this tragedy occurred when the Tau Earthcast began to investigate captured or abandoned Imperial vessels, and found that the ship's warp drive leaked a strange reality-bending energy that led to disturbing and bizarre incidences. The Earthcast engineers began to experience strange thoughts, poltergeist, ailments, and even death the longer they worked on these human machines. Eventually, the Ethereal Cast had to put an end to the experimenting, and now are always on the lookout for any piece of warp-touch technology that might have similar negative effects. Now let's talk about the rare instances where a Tau becomes a servant of the ruinous powers. Somehow they acquire the knowledge of all of the abilities that could be bestowed upon them by a Chaos God, and actively venerate him and will perform various deeds in the hope of earning his favor and his gifts. When this occurs, the Tau cultist operates as covertly as possible, scheming behind the Ethereal's back and always under the direction of demonic entities. And sadly, there is no real way that the Tau Empire could spot one of these types of traitors until they slip up and show that they are no longer working for the best interest of the greater good. An example of this would be a Watercast diplomat with direct contact to psychically powerful xenospecies. If not properly supported by other members of his own caste with experience of the dangers of dealing with psychers, they can easily become enthralled into the web of lies spun by followers of Tzeentch and Slaanesh. And by the time the diplomat reveals his cards, he has already done the unthinkable and taken the lives of his own fellow Tau. And the reason this particular form of venerating corruption seems so rare is because of all of the checks and balances applied to each caste within the strict Tau culture. Monitoring, questioning, and constant reporting are all simple methods used by the Ethereals to detect any form of corruption. Now, whether or not they are directly or passively corrupted, once exposed to the Chaos Gods, there are usually three forms of manipulation that are used on their victims. There is the most evident form of corruption that we're going to call Mutation. This is when the corruptive powers of the warp radically alter a mortal's form, giving him angelic wings with eyes, replacing limbs with squirming tentacles, or fusing the organic with machine. This is what plague zombies and the Galvorbak are, usually corrupted beings whose new figure is unsettling to anyone in real space. The majority of the time, the Tau do mutate when exposed to chaotic corruption, and this is because they never biologically evolved a way to deal with large amounts of psychic energy. Unlike other races in the galaxy that have at least a few psychically sensitive individuals or were exposed to small and controlled amounts of warp energy, the Tau have none of this. And so when psychic energy flows around and through their small and incompetent bodies, it can't cope with the foreign power, becoming damaged and succumbing to the mutagenic effects of the warp. Demonic horns sprout from their craniums, their bones are elongated and deformed, strange new limbs rip through their flesh, and their minds are lost in the maddening effects of the immaterium. The same outcome occurs if a Tau warrior catches one of Nurgle's diseases like Nurgle's rot. The body begins to mutate in whatever form the god of pestilence chooses. To make it even worse, these disfigured Tau become easy pickings for demonic possession. This is when a predatory demon exits the warp and carves out a home inside the body of a sentient being in real space. The Tau continues to inhabit its own body, but loses much of the controls to the demonic entity. It's one of the worst possible scenarios for a Chaos Tau to experience because the demon allows the conscious mind of the Tau to continue to perceive everything that's happening around him, including the sensation of pain, but is completely helpless to stop it. The Tau is literally trapped in his own body. Eventually, the demon will get tired of torturing its victim and leave the body only to have it become a chaos spawn, a giant, twisted, mindless abomination forever tied to the service of the chaos gods. The second form of manipulation we get when the Tau are exposed to chaos we will call Sorcerous Blessings. This is when the chaos gods find or target a worthy servant and give them the opportunity to manipulate real space through the use of warp powers. Although this continued use of the sorceress powers might lead to mutation, for the most part the corruption is not noticeable. This form of corruption allows a mortal to hide his allegiance to chaos while still using the gifts of chaos, like being able to shoot out warp lightning or open portals into the immaterium. Examples of this are thrall wizards and radical inquisitors. And remember that they don't always have to be active participants in the corruption, so individuals that discover ancient weapons imbued with the powers of chaos fall into this category. For the most part, the Tau race is oblivious to this form of corruption. They simply stumble upon a piece of technology that proves to be useful, but is actually chaotically tainted. This can take the form of blueprints or instructions on how to create a demon engine, recovering an ancient relic from a dead race that's actually a chaotic relic, or even finding a strange stone that whispers of future events to whoever carries it in its pocket. Eventually, the corrupted device will choose to return to its rightful demonic owner, or attempt to manipulate the user to perform evil deeds as payments for its use. The process of corruption varies according to the Chaos God's needs, and with very little knowledge of the deceitful ways of the warp, many members of the greater good fall directly into demon traps just like this. When it comes to the history of the Tau, this form of corruption is rumored to be what is happening to Farsight and his use of the Dawnblade. Discovered on the dead world of Arthas Moloch, this unique alien relic steals the life energy of a being cut down by the sword and adds it to the wielder. This is why Commander Farsight has been able to live for almost 3 Terran centuries, outliving most of his fellow Tau. As of now, no demonic corruption is visible, but what's a couple of centuries to the long game of the Chaos Gods? And finally, the least interesting form of corruption we're going to call Coercion. This is when the ruinous powers use a mortal being as a pawn in their scheme and offer no chaotic reward. They simply manipulate the victim's emotions to get their desired outcome. Examples of this are greedy planetary governors who curse the trillions of lives under their care in exchange for trade deals that will eventually fall through and leave their planets exposed to famine, becoming easier prey to the Chaos Gods. For the Tau, this affects any high-ranking member of a caste, and oftentimes the result is not very apparent. The manipulation is usually one of many in a long chain of cause and effects that only the Chaos Gods can predict. These seeds of corruption are subtle and could be more widespread than anyone has ever imagined, with the Chaos God's goal being to cultivate a stronger psychic presence within the soul for the Tau. Now that we understand how chaos would corrupt a Tau, we have to talk about why they seldom choose to go after the Tau. And the answer lies in the psychic presence they emit. You see, every sentient being registers in the warp, and the chaos entities are drawn to the strongest of these dimensional outlines that connect real space and the immaterium. When compared to the rest of the galaxy, the Tau's impression is overlooked by the majority of these demons, because it simply isn't bold enough. However, this lack of attraction has proven to be a huge benefit for the Tau, as the Chaos Gods would much rather unleash their legions of soul-sucking demons into a heavily populated Imperial world more than an equally populated Sept world. A similar phenomenon occurred when the Tau first entered the Immaterium, like when they first attempted to use the Star-Tide Nexus by making small hops into the warp. On one occasion, the ship was inside the Dark Realm for a bit too long, and the demons targeted the non-Tau auxiliary races rather than the Tau race themselves. This bias by the demons was no coincidence, because given the limited opportunity to harvest souls, they went for the mortals with the stronger psychic presence. But as I mentioned before, the Chaos Gods might be scheming to strengthen the psychic power within the Tau. We simply have to wait and see if Chaos Tau will become more prevalent in 40k. And that's a Chaos Tau in a nutshell. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope it inspires you to maybe kit bash your own Tau Chaos faction. One thing that I did want to clarify is that it's very, very rare to find an entire warband of Chaos Tau. So far, there have only been individuals corrupted by Chaos to do Chaos's bidding. And I think the reason for that goes back to that whole concept that even if you had a worshiper of Chaos within the Tau culture, the most that Chaos worshiper or that Chaos servant could give his Chaos God is mediocre souls, which is what the Tau are. So that's probably why this isn't a thing. But that doesn't mean that you can't create like a really cool Chaos Tau pirate faction that operates close to the Farside enclaves or right outside the spheres of expansion within the Tau Empire, basically like praising Khorne, but also like pillaging and then trying to build their own empire. You could still create that in your own personal warband. But yeah. If you guys have any questions or if you guys have suggestions, comment down in the comment section below. Like all my 40 Facts videos, for the first 2 days that this video is posted, I'm going to be in the comments section talking to you guys. So, you know, ask away. Also, if you have good suggestions for Tau topics, please help out. I didn't know that the Tau lore was going to be so difficult for me to create videos for. I think this is only the third one in this month. But I really do appreciate you guys listening. If you like this type of video and you haven't clicked the like button, please do that. Share this video with your friends on Facebook, Reddit, whatever social media you guys use, and consider supporting us on Patreon. It's just $1 a month, but then with that dollar, it helps us create these videos. So thank you ahead of time if you do that. A link in the description. But with all that said, this was Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, if you could put my